Good evening, I'm Camelia and this is KiniNews. Anwar has commented on the issue involving a US academic making pro-Israel remarks at When asked for comments today, he said the professor should not have been brought as a visiting professor in the first place.
Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has criticized US academic Bruce Gilley for his pro-Israel remarks. He described Gilley as a mediocre scholar who should not have been brought in as a visiting professor in the first place. He said this in response to the Portland State University's political science professor's accusation against local politicians of advocating for a second Holocaust against the Jews during a speech at Universiti Malaya on April 23rd. Gilley had made the remarks during his keynote address at a lecture titled "Will Malaysia Become an Active Middle Power?" Following the uproar over Gilley's comments, Higher Education Minister Zamri Abdul Kadir cancelled all programs and activities involving him and ordered a probe. Has since apologized for the incident, pledging to improve its procedures and guidelines in vetting individuals it works with in the future.
Surendran has termed a proposal by Umno's youth chief on the prerequisite for citizenship as illogical. He also told Akmal to read the federal constitution regarding the issue.
Former MP N Surendran has panned Umno Youth chief Dr Muhamad Akmal Saleh over the proposal to make mastery of Bahasa Melayu a prerequisite for obtaining Malaysian citizenship. Surendran termed the proposal as lacking logic. He said Malaysian citizenship is determined at the time of birth and dependent on the nationalities of the parents. The lawyer also suggested Akmal read the federal constitution in order to hone his knowledge regarding citizenship. On a sarcastic note, Surendran posted his comments on X and asked whether to do the BM test just after birth in the maternity ward or after cutting the umbilical cord. Earlier, Malaysia Kini reported Akmal as stating that Umno Youth would like the government or the opposition to file a parliamentary motion to amend the law to make it mandatory for one to be able to converse in Bahasa Melayu in order to be considered a citizen. Akmal was responding to a recent case where an immigration officer refused to renew a local woman's passport in Penang as she could not speak the national language.
MCA was back in the headlines today with DAP's Tioni Ching calling on them to be more mature. This came after MCA Youth Chief Ling Tiang Soon shared a video from 2022 of DAP's candidates in the by-election deriding BN on his social media.
DAP National Publicity Secretary Tioni Ching has urged MCA leaders to act more maturely in criticizing the government candidate for the Kuala Kubu Baru by-election, Pang Sok Tau. Teo said this in response to MCA Youth Chief Ling Tiang Soon, who had shared an old video of Pang deriding BN on his social media. In a post on Facebook, Teo said this video is not a new one and not Pang's speech in Kuala Kubu Baru. She said the speech, which is deliberately made viral now, was made in Kulai, Johor when Pang was campaigning for her in 2022. Teo added that they should check thoroughly before making unfounded claims. She said while it is common for DAP and MCA to have insulted each other in the past, both parties must learn to move forward now that they are part of the coalition government. She also said that DAP respects MCA's decision to not support them in the by-election, but attacking Pang to the extent of humiliating her face is definitely beyond acceptable. Earlier, while sharing the video, Ling had claimed that Pang's speech was made in Kuala Kubu Baru and tagged UMNO Supreme Council member Lokman Nur Adam, who yesterday asked MCA to state its position in the coalition government. Ling said until now, DAP is still criticizing BN and blaming everything on them. He had also reiterated MCA's position not to campaign for the DAP candidate.
Before we move on, we're excited to announce our new Malaysia Kini WhatsApp channels. Now you can get the latest news delivered straight to your phone in English, Bahasa Malaysia or Chinese. Join the channel for your preferred language and share it with your friends and family. Now on to the next story. Still on the topic of the by-election, Bersatu has expressed confidence in getting the marginalized votes in Kuala Kubu Baharu.
Bersatu Information Chief Razali Idris is confident that Indian and Orang Asli voters will cast their ballots for the Perikatan Nasional candidate in the Kuala Kubu Baru by-election. Razali said more so with Indian voters because it is now pointless for them to pin their hopes on MIC. In a statement yesterday evening, he said the time has come for them to support PN, which is committed and vocal for the people. Describing the two communities, which make up more than 6,200 of the total voters, as the kingmaker, he claimed the current government marginalized them with regard to education employment, cost of living, welfare, and their futures. Razali also noted the 30.85% increase of votes for PN in last year's state election and said that this signaled a shift in support. He said he is confident that Malay voters, especially those who voted for UMNO in the past, will vote for the PN candidate. Previously, Malaysia Kini reported that certain quarters have called on Indian voters, who constitute 18% of the electorate, to boycott the May 11 polls to send a clear message to the government. Meanwhile, earlier this week, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim denied reports which claimed that MIC would not be campaigning for his coalition government's candidate in the by-election. Kuala Kubu Baru is one of the 3 state constituencies under the Hulu Selangor parliamentary seat. The Hulu Selangor MP and the other assembly persons are from PN.
Meanwhile, Bersih has reminded the government of some provisions in the Election Offences Act. This came amidst plans by the Selangor government to hold a Hari Raya Aidilfitri open house in Kuala Kubu Baru.
Bersih said a Hari Raya Aidilfitri open house organized by the Selangor state government in Kuala Kubu Baru tomorrow evening is an election offence. The Electoral Reform Group questioned the location and timing of the event, given the nomination for the by-election in the state constituency is tomorrow morning. In a statement, the Bersih Steering Committee reminded the Selangor state government that the organizing of the Aidilfitri open house can be in violation of many provisions in the Election Offences Act 1954. They added that based on the brochure of the program, the event will have feasting and the gifting of duit raya. The group highlighted that feasting during an election is an offence under Section 8 and giving money to voters is an offence under Section 10 of the Act. With this, Bersih urged the Selangor state government to not use the event as a platform to introduce the government candidate for the by-election and campaign by installing flags and other campaign materials, since the open house is organized with state funds. The by-election scheduled for May 11th was called following the death of Lee Ki-hyong, who held the seat since 2013.
An academic believes universities should have autonomy and we need to respect their authority, especially regarding academic matters. However, he said they should also screen programs to avoid unnecessary controversies.
An expert believes that universities should implement screening processes for the programs they conduct, but not to the extent of compromising their autonomy and openness. International Islamic University Malaysia senior lecturer Abu Hafiz Salihuddin said this should be done to avoid controversies, especially involving sensitive issues and national policies. According to Bernama, he said all universities have autonomy and we need to respect their authority, especially regarding academic matters. He added that heavy screening is not necessary, but there should be sufficient screening to avoid unnecessary controversies. Yesterday, US-based political science professor Bruce Gilley made controversial pro-Israel statements during a speech in a program organized by Universiti Malaya. Following the incident, the Higher Education Ministry directed UM to cancel any programs and activities scheduled to be attended by Gilley and to investigate the matter and provide further details immediately. Meanwhile, Hafiz said that the university should have acted when the speaker made statements that criticized the stand of the Malaysian government directly or indirectly during the program. He said the organizers needed to understand the impact, not only on the lecturer, but also on the university and the Higher Education Ministry. He said this is a big lesson when it comes to a very sensitive matter, like inviting those with a pro-Israel background, and it should not be repeated. He added that it is a lesson which shouldn't happen again in any university in Malaysia.
Spread positivity by joining our Muhibah story photo and essay campaign by April 30th. Selected stories will be featured on Malaysia Kini and contributors will receive a free 1-month subscription. Let's build a better Malaysia together. That is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you would like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to malaysiakini.com. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.